A deficit is the result of an imbalance in which government spending is greater than the revenue the government collects. In 2009, this imbalance resulted in the largest deficit ever. The factors which contributed to this deficit are readily identifiable. These 5 factors led to more than $3,517 billion of spending in 2009 and a deficit of more than $1,412 billion. The Great Recession was a major factor in the creation of the deficit. 2009 revenue was $354 billion less than collected in 2008. This is the generally accepted revenue impact of the Great Recession, even though the recession had already reduced 2008 revenue. It could be argued that the impact of the Great Recession was even greater, for 2009 revenue was $530 billion less than President Bush projected in his 2009 budget, and $690 billion less than projected in the 2008 budget, which was based on information prior to the beginning of the recession. The Great Recession also added $61 billion to spending due to automatic economic stabilizers. Obama administration efforts to combat the Great Recession included the continuation of the Bush TARP program and new proposals to stabilize financial institutions, stimulate the housing market, and save the auto industry. The largest initiative was the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which included assistance to those suffering as a result of the bad economy, aid to state and local governments, and infrastructural improvements, as well as tax cuts and tax incentives. The Obama administration anti-recession policies reduced revenue by $64.8 billion and increased spending by $138 billion. While most of the policies initiated by the Obama administration neither added to 2009 spending nor subtracted from 2009 revenue, the expansion of the Children's Health Insurance Program included a $2 billion expenditure. Most of the non-recession Obama administration spending was due to supplemental appropriations needed to complete fiscal 2009 funding. The Omnibus Supplemental Appropriations Act provided funding for government departments and programs. The Supplemental Appropriations Act provided funding for the military and for special earmarked projects. Obama administration policies added between $41 and $65 billion to 2009 spending. In order to avoid what many economists feared could become a major depression, the Bush administration took drastic action to combat the recession. The government took conservatorship of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in an attempt to stabilize housing, and passed the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act, which established the Troubled Assets Relief Program, TARP, in an attempt to stabilize financial markets. Some of the TARP money provided bridge loans to the auto industry. Bush administration anti-recession policies amounted to $239 to $245 billion. Bush administration policies set the basis for 2009 spending. The spending increases that occurred throughout the Bush administration include the Prescription Drug Benefit Program and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tax cuts reduced revenue. Just these 4 components of the Bush economic policy impacted fiscal 2009 by $586 billion. Therefore, Bush administration policies accounted for the remainder of the fiscal 2009 spending and deficit. Automatic stabilizers generated because of the Great Recession contributed less than 1% of 2009 spending. Obama administration spending accounted for about 5%. 94% of 2009 spending was the responsibility of the Bush administration. The record deficit was primarily the result of the Great Recession and Bush administration spending. The Obama administration was responsible for less than 20% of the deficit.